Hey everybody, I'm back with another video. This is called 9 Root Causes of Disease. My name is Dr. Talia Marcheggiani and I'm a naturopathic doctor practicing in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. This is a video based on an article that you can read on my blog called 9 Root Causes of Disease. So I get a lot of emails from people asking me things like, "Dear doctor, what do you do to treat anxiety?" And I always answer them, well, it's important to understand the what of your condition, so what disease is present and what is the best natural cure for anxiety. Naturopathic doctors are far more interested in the why. As Dr. Mark Hyman, a functional medical doctor, asks, why are your symptoms occurring? Why now? And why in this way? Naturopathic doctors prescribe natural remedies for conditions such as anxiety. However, naturopathic medicine is a medicine that first tends to the soil. Naturopathic doctors first look for and address the roots of symptoms, working with your relationships that exist between you and your body, your food, the people in your life, your society, your environment, your soil. Healing involves taking a complete inventory of all of the factors in your life that influence your mental, physical, and emotional wellness. It requires looking at the air, water, sunlight, nutrients, stressors, hormones, chemicals, microbes, thoughts, and emotions that our cells bathe in every single day. Healing means looking closely at the soil that surrounds us. It requires asking, what are the roots that this condition stems from? And what soil buries these roots? Does this soil nourish me? And do I nourish it? The causes of disease can be interconnected and complex. And very often, however, there are common root networks from which many modern-day chronic health conditions arise. I'm going to talk about 9 of them today. Number 1. Starving gut bacteria. It was Hippocrates, the father of medicine, who first proclaimed that all disease begins in the gut. Our digestive systems are these long, hollow tubes that extend from mouth to you-know-where and serve as our body's connection to the outside world. What enters our digestive system does not fully become the body until the cells that line the digestive tract deem these nutrients worthy of entering us. Along their 9-meter-long, 50-hour journey, these nutrients are processed by digestive enzymes, broken down by trillions of beneficial bacteria, and sorted out by the immune cells that guard entrance to our vulnerable bodies. Our immune cells make the judgment call between what sustains us and what has the potential to kill us. And for this reason, about 70% of our immune system is located along our digestive tract. Our gut bacteria, containing an estimated 30 trillion cells, outnumber the cells in our body 3 to 1. Science has only just begun to write the love story between these tiny cells in our bodies. These bacteria are responsible for aiding in the digestion of our food and processing essential nutrients such as B vitamins, fat-soluble vitamins, and keeping our intestines healthy. However, this love story can turn tragic when these little romantics that live inside of us are not properly fed or nurtured, or when antagonists to the story enter in the form of pathogenic bacteria and yeast. Our microbiome may impact our health in various ways. Studies are emerging showing that obese people have different gut profiles than those who are normal weight. And you can predict that if someone is obese by looking at their gut microbiome and be accurate 90% of the time. Conversely, if you look at their individual genetics, you would only be correct 50% of the time. Our gut bacteria have a role in producing the hormones that regulate hunger, mood, stress, circadian rhythms, metabolism, and inflammation. They regulate our immune system, playing a role in soothing autoimmune conditions and improving our ability to fight off infections and cancer. Psychological and physical stress, inflammation, medication use, and a diet consisting of processed food can all conspire to negatively affect the health of our gut. This can lead to a plethora of diseases: mood disorder, psychiatric illnesses, insulin resistance, cardiovascular disease, chronic pain and inflammation, obesity, hormonal issues such as endometriosis, autoimmune disease, and of course, chronic digestive concerns such as IBS, among others. As Hippocrates long knew, one doesn't have to dig for long to uncover an unhappy gut microbiome as one of the primary roots of disease. Our gut has the power to nurture us, to provide us with the fuel that keeps our mood bright and our energy high, and our body working normally. However, if we fail it, our gut also has the power to plague our cells with chronic inflammation and disease. To be fully healthy, we must tend to our gut like a careful gardener tends to his or her soil. This involves eating a diet rich in fermented foods like kefir, which is a kind of fermented milk, and dietary fiber, such as things like leeks and Jerusalem artichokes that feed these gut bacteria, and black beans. It also means consuming flavonoid-rich foods like green tea and cocoa, and consuming a colorful tapestry of fruits and vegetables, which also feed the microbiome. Healing our gut requires avoiding foods it doesn't like. These may include foods that feed pathogenic bacteria, mount an immune response, kill our good bacteria, trigger inflammation, or simply those processed foods that fail to nurture us. So to heal ourselves, we must first heal the gut. Number 2, confused circadian rhythms. For hundreds of thousands of years, all of humanity rose, hunted, ate, fasted, and slept according to the sun's rhythms. To align us with nature, our bodies contain internal clocks, a central one located in the brain, called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCM for short, which is susceptible to light from the sun, and peripheral clocks located in the liver and pancreas, which respond to our eating patterns. Our gut bacteria also respond and influence our body's clocks. However, the invention of electricity, night shifts, and 24-hour convenience stores means that our bodies can no longer rely on the outside world to guide our waking and sleeping patterns. This can confuse our circadian rhythms, leading to digestive issues, insomnia, daytime fatigue, mood disorders, and problems with metabolism, appetite, and blood sugar regulation. A researcher in California, Dr. Sachin Panda, who has a PhD and works at the Salk Institute, found that mice who ate a poor diet experienced altered circadian rhythms. However, he found that when these mice were fed the same terrible diet in accordance with their natural rhythms, they weighed less, had lower incidences of diabetes and cardiovascular disease, had better cognitive health, and lived longer. Literally, all of the negative outcomes from eating a bad diet were erased when they ate according to their biological circadian rhythms. These findings indicate that perhaps it's not what we eat, but when we eat, that may impact our health. Perhaps it is that a natural diet disconnects us from nature, or that this disconnection tempts us to choose non-nutritive foods. But the research by Dr. Panda and his team revealed that the importance of aligning our daily routines with our body's natural rhythms and in order to experience optimal health. Perhaps it is that a natural diet disconnects us from nature, or that this disconnection tempts us to choose non-nutritious foods. But the research by Dr. Panda and his team reveals that the importance of aligning our daily routines with our body's natural rhythms in order to experience optimal health. According to Dr. Panda's findings, this involves eating during an 8 to 12 hour window, perhaps having breakfast at 7 a.m. and finishing dinner early, or simply avoiding nighttime snacking. For many of us, this may involve making the effort to keep our schedules consistent, even on weekends. For most of us, it involves avoiding exposure to electronics, which emit circadian confusing blue light, after the sun goes down, and exposing our eyes to natural sunlight as soon after waking as possible to train our bodies to respond to nature as closely as we can. Root cause number 3, nature deficit disorder. Nature deficit disorder is a phrase coined by Richard Louv in his 2005 book, The Last Child in the Woods. According to Louv, a variety of childhood problems, especially mental health diagnoses such as ADHD, are a direct result of our society's tendency to increasingly alienate children from nature. With most of humanity living in cities, nature has become a place to visit rather than what immerses us. However much modernization might remove us from nature, our bodies, as well as the food, air, water, sunlight, and natural settings that they require to thrive, are products of nature and cannot be separated from it. A Japanese practice called Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, developed in the 1980s to attempt to reconnect modern people with the healing benefits of spending time in a natural setting. There's an immediate reduction in stress hormones, blood pressure, and heart rate when people immerse themselves in natural environments such as a forest, and this has been documented in scientific studies. Whether we like it or not, our roots need soil. It is possible that the components of the soil are too complex to manufacture. In other words, we don't know all of the variables and all of the elements within nature that has the power to heal us. When we try to live without soil, however, we know that essential elements that nourish us and the various relationships between these elements are left out. When we remove ourselves from nature or ignore it fully, we become like gardeners, oblivious to the deep dependency that their plants have on the soil that enshrouds them. Therefore, connecting with nature by spending time outside, retraining our circadian rhythms, connecting with our food sources, and consuming natural whole foods may be essential for balancing our minds, emotions, and our physical bodies. In other words, being as close to nature, to our primal selves, as possible. Root cause number 4, a lack of key building blocks. Our bodies are like complex machines that need a variety of macro and micronutrients. These provide us with the fuel, the building blocks, the vitamins and minerals that we need to function. As a child, I would play with Lego, putting together complex structures according to the blueprints in the box. When I discovered that a piece was missing, I would get upset. It meant that my masterpiece would no longer look right, or it wouldn't work anymore. If I was lucky, I might find a similar piece to replace it, but it wouldn't be the same. After looking long and hard for it, sometimes the missing piece would turn up. I'd locate it under the carpet, or I'd push my brother aside and he'd be sitting on it. Or it'd be lodged in a dark corner of the box. Often our bodies don't get that lucky. Nutrients like vitamin B12, perhaps, or a specific essential amino acid, or a mineral like magnesium help our body perform essential steps in its various biochemical pathways, just like each Lego block is needed to create the entire structure that you see on the box. These pathways follow our innate blueprint for health. They dictate how we eat, sleep, breathe, and create and use energy. They control how our bones grow and our hair grows. They control our mood and our hormones. They form our immune systems. These pathways run us. These pathways are us. Our bodies carry out the complicated instructions in our DNA to will us into existence using the nutrients supplied from food. If our bodies are missing one or several of these ingredients, a vitamin or a mineral, an important bodily task simply won't get done. Dr. Bruce Ames, who has a PhD, theorized that when nutrient levels are suboptimal, the body triages what it has to cover tasks that are essential to our immediate survival while compromising other jobs that are important but less dire. He called this triage theory. For example, a body may have enough vitamin C to repair wounds or to keep teeth in our mouths, warding off obvious signs of scurvy, a disease that results from severe vitamin C deficiency. However, it may not have enough to protect us from the free radicals generated in and outside of our bodies that we are encompassed by in our environment. This deficiency may eventually lead to chronic inflammation or even cancer years later. It's not that vitamin C cures cancer, it's that it helps our body run optimally. According to Dr. Ames's triage theory, mild to moderate nutrient deficiencies may manifest later in life as diseases that arise from the deprivation of the building blocks needed to thrive. In North America, despite an overconsumption of calories, nutrient deficiencies are surprisingly common. This is called secret starvation. 25 to 50% of people don't get enough iron, which is important for the transport of oxygen, the synthesis of neurotransmitters, and for proper thyroid function. If you're a menstruating female and vegan or vegetarian, or you just don't eat that much meat in general, or you have digestive issues, consider getting your iron levels checked. 1/3 of the world's population is deficient in iodine, which affects thyroid health and fertility. Regular salt is iodized, but since switching to sea salt, we just don't intake iodine to the same rate that we used to. Up to 82% of North Americans are vitamin D deficient. Vitamin D regulates the expression of over 1,000 genes in the body, including those involved in mood regulation, bone health, immunity, and cancer prevention. And a very important hormone, not even a vitamin. It's called vitamin D, but it's a hormone that is needed to run all of these chemical reactions and regulate all of these genes, and we're all deficient. Vitamin B12 is commonly deficient in the elderly, vegans, and vegetarians. It's important for lowering inflammation, creating mood-regulating neurotransmitters, and supporting nervous system health. Deficiency in vitamin B12 can result in fatigue. Severe deficiency can lead to irreversible brain damage, dementia, and even seizures. Magnesium is an essential mineral involved in over 300 chemical reactions, including mood and hormone pathways. Over 40% of North Americans do not consume enough magnesium, which is primarily found in leafy green vegetables, as magnesium is the center of the chlorophyll molecule. Chlorophyll is what makes plants green. Our bodies have requirements for fats, which make up our brain mass and the backbone of our sex hormones, and protein, which makes up our enzymes, neurotransmitters, and the structure of our body. Our bones, our skin, our hair, our nails, and our connective tissue. Our gut microbiota require fiber. Our cells need antioxidants to help protect us from the free radical damage from their own cellular metabolism that they produce as a natural byproduct of them just operating on a daily basis, and from our exposure to environmental toxins, which are increasing. We certainly are what we eat, which means we can be magnificent structures with every piece in place, thriving with abundance and energy. But despite reasonably good intentions, we can also suffer from nutrient scarcity, forced to triage essential nutrients to keep us from keeling over, while our immune health, mood, and overall vitality slowly erode. Number 5. A body on fire, chronic inflammation. When we injure ourselves banging a knee against the sharp edge of a coffee table or slashing a thumb with a paring knife, which I do often when I cook, and our immune cells rally to the scene of the crime, of the incident. Our immune cells protect us against invaders that might take advantage of the broken skin to infect us. They mount an inflammatory response with symptoms of pain, heat, redness, and swelling in order to heal us. They recruit proteins to the scene to stop blood loss. They seal our skin back up, leaving behind only a small white scar, a souvenir of our clumsiness. Our inflammatory response is truly amazing. Once the danger has been dealt with, the immune system is trained to turn off. However, when exposed to a stressor, bacteria, or toxin for prolonged periods, our immune system may have trouble quieting. Chronic stress can contribute to chronic inflammation. Scientists argue that an inflammatory response gone rogue may be the source of most chronic diseases, from heart disease to cancer and diabetes to schizophrenia and major depressive disorder. The gut is often the source of chronic inflammation. As I said before, it hosts 70% of the immune system. When we eat something that our immune system doesn't like, an inflammatory response is triggered. This can cause digestive issues such as inflammatory bowel disease, celiac disease, and the more common irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. It can also lead to more widespread issues like chronic pain, arthritis, migraines, and even mood disorders like bipolar. We don't have pain receptors in our brain, so any low level of inflammation in the brain will manifest as behavioral, mood, and emotional changes and mental changes. Ensuring optimal gut health through nurturing the gut microbiome and eating a clean diet free of food sensitivities is essential for keeping the body's levels of inflammation low. Number 6, constant fighting and fleeing. Like inflammation, our stress response is essential to our survival. When facing a predatory animal, our body is flooded with stress hormones that aim to remove us from the danger, either through fighting, fleeing, or freezing. Our stress response is affectionately called our fight or flight response for that reason. However, like inflammation, problems arise when our stress response refuses to turn off. Traffic exams, fights with the in-laws, and other modern-day struggles can be constant predators that keep us chronically stressed. Chronic stress has implications for our health. It can affect the gut. It can damage our microbiome. It can alter our circadian rhythms. It can mess with mood and hormones and contribute to chronic inflammation. Stress gets in the way of our ability to care for ourselves. It isolates us, encourages us to consume unhealthy foods, and buffers our emotions and encourages us to buffer our emotions through food, alcohol, work, and drugs. We also know that stress has a role in the development of virtually every disease, like chronic inflammation, and it's been found to contribute to chronic anxiety and depression and digestive concerns and weight gain and headaches and heart disease, insomnia, chronic pain, and problems with concentration and memory, and that's just to name a few. Because our stress response is literally just a state of being. We're either in that fight or flight state, or we're in a more rest and digest, calm state where we're, thinking, concentrating, eating, playing, having sex. We're in one or the other, and a lot of us are in the other. Number 7, discomfort with discomfort. To assess its impact on health, it helps to determine between 2 key types of stress. Distress, the chronic wear and tear of traffic, disease, and deadlines, and eustress. Eustress is beneficial stress, the short-lived discomfort of intense exercise, the euphoric agony of emotional vulnerability, or the bitter nutrients of green vegetables, which I already mentioned contain magnesium. And these make the body more resilient to hardship. Whenever I feel discomfort, I try to remember the ducks. Here's a little story. Several years ago, on a particularly frigid winter day, I was walking my dog, Coco, who you can check out on Instagram. Bundled against the cold wind, we strolled along the semi-frozen lake, past tree branches beautifully preserved in glass cases of ice. Icebergs floated on the lake, and so did a group of ducks bobbing peacefully in the icy waters. With nothing to protect their thin flippers from the sub-zero temperatures, they couldn't have felt comfortable. There couldn't have been even a part of them that felt warm, cozy, or fed. There was no fire for them to retreat to, no dinner waiting for them at home, no slippers to stuff their frozen, wet flippers into. Coco and I had those things, but the ducks were here, outside with us, withstanding the temperatures of the icy lake. A part of them must have been suffering, and yet they were surviving. Far from surviving, the ducks looked downright content. I think of the ducks, and I think of the resilience of nature. We humans are resilient too. I see that every day in my practice when I talk to people and hear what they're going through in life. Like the ducks, our bodies have survived temperature extremes. Our ancestors withstood famine, intense heat, biting cold, terrible injury, and the constant threat of attack and infection for millennia. You were born a link on an unbroken chain of survivors extending 10,000 generations long. Every single one of your ancestors survived. Think about that for a second. Our bodies have been honed over these hundreds of thousands of years to survive, even thrive, during the horrendous conditions that plagued most of our evolutionary history. Investigations into the human genome have revealed genes that get turned on only in periods of eustress, bursts of extreme heat or cold, fasting, and high-intensity exercise. When our body encounters one of these stressors, it activates something called a hormetic response to overcome the stress. And often this hormetic response is greater than what is needed to neutralize the threat, resulting in a net benefit to our bodies. These protective genes create new brain cells, they boost mitochondria function, those are the powerhouses of our cell. They lower inflammation, they clear out damaged cells, they boost the creation of stem cells, they repair DNA, and they create powerful antioxidants. Our bodies are flooded with hormones that increase our sense of well-being during these times of eustress. It's like that old adage, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Our bodies were made for discomfort. In fact, we have entire genetic pathways waiting to kick in and heal us as soon as they experience hardship. There are a number of studies on the healing power of small troubles. Fasting may have a role in treating autoimmune diseases, decreasing the signs of aging, and as an adjunct therapy for cancer. Adjunct means with the conventional treatment. Sauna therapy boosts detoxification and may prevent dementia. Cryotherapy, or exposure to extreme cold, has the potential to heal arthritis and autoimmunity. And high-intensity interval training has been shown to boost cardiovascular health more than moderate intensity exercise, even when only done for 4 minutes at a time. Plants may benefit us through their flavonoids, which, rather than serving as nutrients, act as small toxins that boost these hormetic pathways, encouraging the body to make loads of its own powerful antioxidants to combat these tiny toxins. We make antioxidants way stronger than blueberries and green tea, guys. Mindfully embracing discomfort, the bitter taste of plants, the chilly night air, the deep growling hunger that occurs between meals may be essential for letting our bodies express their full healing potential. Number 8, not minding our minds. Our ability to withstand powerful emotions may have healing benefits. Many of us avoid painful feelings, allowing them to fester within us. We buffer them with excess food or drugs, leading to addictions. Mindfulness can therefore help us learn to be with the discomfort of our emotions, our thoughts, and physical sensations that arise in the body as inevitable side effects of being alive. Research has shown that mindfulness can help decrease rumination and prevent depressive relapse. It also helps lower perceived stress. How we perceive the stresses in our lives can lower the damaging effects they have on us. Research shows that those who view their life stressors as challenges to overcome have lower stress hormone activation and experience greater life satisfaction. According to cognitive behavioral therapy, theories in this modality, our thoughts create our emotions. Becoming more aware of our thoughts through CBT or mindfulness allows us to identify which thoughts may be limiting us and exacerbating our reactions to stressful situations. When we learn to observe our thoughts, we create some distance from them as well. We become less likely to see the dismal thoughts in our minds as absolute truths. Just because our mind conjures up something doesn't make it true. Practicing mindful meditation, CBT, or cultivating positive thoughts, such as engaging in a daily gratitude practice, may improve our resilience to chronic stress. And number 9, the final common root cause of disease. Obviously, there are more than these guys, but these are my 9 that I thought of. The last one is inattention. According to Stephen Cope, who is a yoga teacher and an author of The Great Work of Your Life, he says, you love what you know deeply. Get to know yourself deeply. We get to know things deeply by paying attention to them. Georgia O'Keeffe's admiration for flowers or Monet's adoration of landscapes is apparent to anyone who sees their work. In order to commit images to canvas, the artists get to know their subject matter deeply. Their art celebrates what they took the time to pay attention to and eventually clearly came to love. As a naturopathic doctor, I believe that healing begins with attention. When we become aware of our bodies, we begin to know them deeply. Awareness allows us to respond to symptoms lovingly, the way a mother learns to skillfully tend to her baby's distinct cries. When I first meet a new patient, the first thing I have them do is start to pay attention to themselves. We become curious about their symptoms, my patient and I. We become curious about their food intake, their sleep patterns, their habits and routines, the physical sensations of their emotions, and the thoughts that run through their heads. we become aware of the script that runs their lives and bodies. Through paying attention with non-judgmental curiosity, my patients start to understand their bodies in new ways. They learn how certain foods feel in their bodies, how certain sleep habits affect their energy levels the next day, and how specific thoughts contribute to their feelings. Once we begin to open up this dialogue with our bodies, it becomes impossible not to answer with love. It becomes hard not to eat, sleep, and move in ways that convey self-respect. A gardener who pays deep attention cannot ignore the obvious. Her plants have roots embedded in soil. The gardener quickly learns through careful observation that the health of the soil is vital to the health of her plants. And so back to the original question, what is your favorite natural cure for anxiety? My favorite remedy isn't a bottle of pills that we reach for. It's a question we reach for from within. What do I need to heal? And after asking the question, we might wait. We wait for the answer to emerge from a place within, just as a gardener might wait for new buds to rise out of the mysterious depths of dark, nutritious soil. My name is Dr. Talia Marcheggiani, and I'm a naturopathic doctor. Please follow my channel and check out my website, taliand.com. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me, connect@taliand.com.